Unit 12 and 13 of Hansen and Quinn together. As a prelude to this, we want to talk about the overall structure of the Greek verb, the aspect structure, because I think this is what you need to know to really be able to get a grasp on the way the other group of verbs, the athematic verbs, work. So let's remind what we've been teaching and learning about aspect structure of the Greek verb. That is that we have we conceive of the aspect structure as a triangle, and at the top of the triangle is the aorist aspect. We're not talking about aorist tense. We're talking about aorist aspect. I'll talk in a moment about what that means. On the left vertex of the triangle is the imperfective aspect, and on the right, the perfective aspect. These are not tenses. These are, by aspect, we mean kinds of actions that are described by verbs of these types. So, for example, in the indicative, in the aorist aspect, we have the thing that's unfortunately called aorist.
Right.
In the imperfective aspect, we have, as in the perfective aspect, we have both, in the indicative, both a past and a present. So in the imperfective aspect, the present tense, the so-called present, is the present tense of the imperfective aspect. And the so-called imperfect is the past tense of the imperfective aspect. In the case of the perfect, in the indicative, you have the so-called perfect, which is the present perfect. It means I have now, at the present moment, finished doing something. And the pluperfect, which is in the past, I was finished doing something. So the difference between imperfective and perfective aspect is a difference between an action that's ongoing and an action that's complete. The aorist aspect means what horistos means in Greek, that is undefined. And in this triangular system, undefined as to completion, okay? And we made an analogy between this sense of horistos and the way the Prague School of Linguistics talks about an unmarked category. So if we make another triangle, and at the top of it we put lion in the sense of lion as opposed to lamb, that is without distinction as to gender, okay, just as a category of animal, not really specifying whether it's male or female. And on the left vertex we put lion in the sense of male lion, as by contrast with a lioness. Then we have a structure that's analogous to the way the aspects interrelate in Greek. Okay, we have aorist, which is basically just the verbal idea without anything being specified as to the completeness or the incompleteness of the action. It's not something that we have as a category in the English verb. Okay, so if we understand this as the essential structural principle of the Greek verb, we can see that we have aspect differences in the indicative, as we just mentioned. We have aspect differences in the participles, because the participles are distinct as to aorist, imperfective aspect, and perfective. We have aspect differences in subjunctives and in optatives and in imperatives, okay? Those are the basic categories that differentiate them, along with the category of voice, which is pervasive of all of them, of each of the aspects. But I think an analysis of the Greek verb as a system, which is dominated by the distinction between aspects, is one in which you can get a sense of it as a whole, okay? So basically that's our first video, okay? I want to talk about first, all right?